What is good? What is up? It's Jordan or Texans Thoughts, and I'm back with another video today. I'm going to be making the case for Brian Daboll as the next head coach of your favorite NFL team. I believe highly in Daboll. He's an offensive mastermind. I mean, watching his film and scheme compared to Bill O'Brien over the past years, oh my lord, I feel like a brand new person. And I'll show why, maybe, just maybe, he could be the best offensive-minded guy available. So if you enjoy the video, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on Daboll and versus the other head coach candidates. For starters, I'm really buying into the fact that, we need an offensive-minded head coach. I get it. The defense is the worst it's been in years. But not even Jesus could be a good enough defensive coordinator to save us there. We need talent first and foremost on that side of the ball. And whether it's Saleh, Eberflus, or even keep Weaver as defensive coordinator, please don't do that. We need an influx of talent on defense, no matter who's running it. And so let's schematically improve on offense what we're already doing pretty well and make it elite. Because as great as Deshaun has been this season, the overall offense needs more work and he needs more help. So with Daboll, we're getting someone who is a student of the game. He doesn't have one set of philosophies that can make someone easy to game plan for. And he has constantly improved his scheme over the years because he loves to steal concepts from around the league and implement them into his own system. He doesn't have an ego where he thinks it's his way or the highway. I listened to a great podcast with Matthew Fairburn, a Bills writer and reporter for The Athletic, and you should definitely check that out as well. But he talked about how Daboll has grown from his previous offensive coordinator stints. And if you don't know, he has 20 years of NFL coaching experience and another year in college with Alabama where he won the national championship. He's been the offensive coordinator for 3 other teams, and yeah, it didn't go great during those tenures, but just take a look at the quarterbacks and offensive rosters that he was dealing with. He wasn't dealt a great hand at all. And now compare that to Deshaun Watson. But that's not really even what the biggest takeaway here. What really stood out to me is this quote. He's already been through the growing pains that usually happen with rookie coordinators. And his mindset and willingness to change speaks to how much he cares about winning and doing his job to the best of his capabilities. He's not going to stop working, and he's always finding new ways to improve. This other quote stood out to me, and damn, that's what we wanted for so long. A coach who will listen to their players' input and really tailor their scheme to their strengths. Most offensive guys, they say they'll do that, but there's proof here from a Bills writer who covers the team, and also just listen to Stephon Diggs talk about Daboll and why he should be a head coach.
I don't want to give you one because I don't want him to leave, but I would say he handles everything the right way, and he comes at you from all angles, not just a player's coach, but a guy that understands the game, and he's a professional. He's serious about it. He's passionate, and I love playing for him. So that's why I don't want to give you too good of a pitch. But as a coach, as a head coach, I can just imagine how guys that get behind a coach, like kind of just the same thing with Coach McDermott, like getting behind a guy, trusting the process. I can see it being no different than he's that guy as well. So, no, not too good of a pitch. Hopefully he doesn't go anywhere, but that's my guy.
So Daboll's had a change of mindset since his Patriots, Browns, Dolphins, and Chiefs days, right? But what should really impress you is what he's done with the Bills. Him turning Josh Allen from a borderline bust into a legit MVP candidate. I mean, that speaks for itself, man. And Allen, he definitely deserves credit for improving on his own, but Daboll has really molded the offense around Allen's strengths. When Allen was crazy inaccurate, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in his rookie season, Daboll went more West Coast style, quick passing game, and schemed up a very solid run game to help supplement him. and he didn't ask him to do more than he could and kill his confidence. But this year, when Allen's accuracy clicked, he's unleashed the play action heavy vertical passing scheme where that it attacks every single inch of the field. I thought this quote from Daboll about balance was really intriguing as well. He's never going to force a run or a pass just to stay balanced. I think that's something that plagued Bill O'Brien and even Tim Kelly at times. But Daboll knows better. And I'm going to show y'all examples of his scheme here through the film in a minute. But, the reason why I say he could be the best offensive mind available is that he takes concepts from all of the top guys that we've talked about already. He implements aspects from Reed and Bieniemy, even the Shanahan guys, and stuff from Joe Brady too. Hell, he even incorporates aspects that are effective for Tim Kelly and the Texans. His scheme is the most translatable to the Texans personnel as currently constructed. We don't have a Tyreek Hill. We don't have a Travis Kelce for Bieniemy to work with. But the Bills' personnel is even more similar to ours than I thought. I mean, you could basically just Control-C and Control-V that shit, and Deshaun would be firing on all cylinders. Also, unlike Bieniemy, we 100% know Daboll is calling the plays, he's making the game plan, he is responsible for the entire offense. So you don't have that same question mark. Now, I talked a big talk, so it's time to prove it with the film because the film don't lie. So we've seen this year that Deshaun Watson is at his best in shotgun, and particularly 5 wide. This allows him to read the defense quickly, and when they're all spread out, he's surgical with his throws. Daboll understands that. Josh Allen is the same way, and lets Allen be Allen. Cole Beasley is a big part of their offense, and Daboll uses these spread formations to create as much space for him as possible. He's so good at finding the holes in zones, and this is a role that translates perfectly to Randall Cobb or potentially Kiki QT. These 5 wide formations force the linebacker to guard Beasley, and that's a matchup he's going to annihilate 47 times out of 10. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Beasley just wide open with no one near him. And while he's definitely one of, if not the best slot wide receivers in the game, Daboll plays his fair share in scheming him open. Here, he knows the 49ers are going to be in cover 3, so he dials up a cover 3 beater called Z-Spot to put defenders in conflict of assignment. This cornerback in the curl flat zone doesn't want to give up the easy completion, but it burns him big time. The matchup between Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll was a fun one to watch, and really exemplified Daboll's ability to scout an opposing defense, know what their tendencies are, and how to beat it. The clips you'll see today are all against some of the best defenses and the best defensive coordinators in the game, but Daboll is going punch for punch with them, and coming out on top. During their matchup with the Niners, Daboll knew Saleh was going to continue to sit in cover 3 most of the game, so he had many concepts dialed up to beat that. Here, running verticals to attack the seam, the weak spot in a cover 3. When Saleh tried to adjust and run a cover 6 blitz, Daboll knew what was coming and had the perfect play call to throw that counterpunch. Versus cover 6, he knows these DBs are going to take away these 2 wide receivers. But on the weak side of a cover 6, Saleh always has this cornerback in pure man coverage. And one of the best ways to beat man coverage is on a rub route. So he dials up a mesh concept here to try and create contact on this cornerback and get him a step behind. Daboll knows how to beat the best, and the Bills hung 34 on the 49ers with ease. But let's get back to how Daboll's scheme can translate to the Texans. We have the slot guy with Cobb or QT to mimic Beasley, but obviously the Bills' offense took a massive jump when they got Stephon Diggs. Daboll knows how to elevate a legit wide receiver 1, and Fuller can play this role as well. Now I'm not saying he's Stephon Diggs, not at all, but the two win in similar ways, with speed, explosiveness, and crisp routes. Diggs eats on these deep crossers, exemplifying his speed, and that's been a staple of the Texans offense ever since we drafted Fuller. In addition, Diggs isn't the pure burner that Fuller is. He's plenty fast, but Daboll doesn't just rely on pure speed to win deep and create explosive plays, like we often have with Fuller. Instead, Daboll gets Diggs to run plenty of double moves, particularly stutter and goes, to make it nearly impossible to guard Diggs. It's been rare Fuller runs stutters and goes, but it could elevate his big play ability even more. Daboll also knows how to use Diggs' speed against defenses, and he combines that by setting up those stutters and goes by getting Diggs to run plenty of curl routes. Defenses are so scared to get beat over top, they have to give him a huge cushion, and that's too easy. You can see how everything Daboll runs has a purpose, and they all intertwine together to make it impossible for defenses to know what's coming. A go, a stutter and go, or just a curl, they all mesh well together. Another big element of Daboll's offense is stretching the field horizontally and getting the ball into his playmakers' hands in space. Isaiah McKenzie, their wide receiver 4, is a speedy dude, and I could see QT or maybe a draft pick like Kadarius Toney or free agent like Nelson Aguilar play this role for us. Daboll's great at creating easy yards like this, just like Joe Brady and Eric Bieniemy. Another staple of Bieniemy's scheme is play action and attacking the middle of the field. Whether it's from shotgun or under center, Daboll will do this too, by sucking in the linebackers and attacking behind them, knowing that this is one of the soft spots in most defenses. Here he uses a dagger concept to help Allen drop what might have been the prettiest throw of the entire season. Deshaun has this elite ball placement as well to make this type of throw. Just like Bieniemy understands with any mobile quarterback, it's important to give them at least one longer developing route so that when they inevitably extend the play, they have an option built in for them. This is one of my biggest gripes with Kelly. He doesn't seem to help out Deshaun in that manner, but Daboll will. These types of throws are amazing from Allen, no doubt, but let's not act like we haven't seen Deshaun do the same. Hell, if you're a Saleh fan and are high on him bringing one of the 49ers coaches to run that Shanahan scheme, Daboll's got that in his arsenal too. Everyone loves those bootlegs off of outside zone run fakes that create easy throwing windows, right? Well, look at how Daboll uses a levels concept to force the Rams to guard every level of the field on this bootleg. You have to be constantly on your toes and play perfect versus the Bills' offense, because they use so much damn motion and misdirection to throw you off. The more you can force the defense to think and make a wrong decision, the more likely your play is going to be successful. Daboll is constantly putting defenders in conflict of assignment by running passing concepts that force you to leave someone open. With the trends of where the league is going, if you can't pass the ball at a high level, you're screwed. But with Daboll, we can rest assured we'll have a perennial top passing offense, and I'll get to the run game in a second, don't you worry. Another thing that's impressive about Daboll is his red zone play calling. This is an area that is holding the Texans offense back, and Daboll's creativity and use of motion and misdirection is seen here as well. This is a common shield screen that the Saints have used for years, and Daboll is just so great at adding it to his own system. It makes offenses much more unpredictable when they're constantly changing and adapting every year. Again, we see how motion can cause even the best defense in the NFLs to make mistakes. All it takes is one step here as the defense flows towards the threat of McKenzie, and then boom, they're out of position to cover the crossing route going in the other direction. When you're down on the goal line, the field is condensed, but Daboll understands how to move defenders out of position and in the opposite direction of where the play is really going. His use of tight end Tyler Kroft can translate well to Jordan Akins, who is similarly a great athlete and can make plays in space, but isn't a very developed route runner. So Daboll doesn't ask Kroft to do that. Instead, he gets him the ball in space, or has him run simple routes and scheme him open by using the threat and gravity from his other players. So while Daboll leans on his wide receivers for most of the production on offense, he's shown he can also scheme up advantageous run plays as well. The Bills' offensive line has struggled this year, thus Daboll hasn't forced the run and tried to be balanced when that action isn't efficient for them. Their offensive line is sort of like ours, not as bad, but where they have some guys who are better zone blockers and some guys who are better gap blockers. So Daboll keeps defenses on their toes by throwing different concepts at you. He can attack the edges and then punish you up the middle with a gap concept like trap, where he's going to use the aggression of the defensive line against them. As an offensive lineman with trap plays, you're taught to allow your matchup to rush upfield. This allows these two guys to get to the second level immediately and open up a huge hole for the running back. Daboll doesn't just run up the middle and rely on his offensive line to do all the dirty work themselves. He puts them in positions to succeed, and has also found a great balance at getting Josh Allen involved in the run game. Earlier in his career, when Allen was inaccurate, he was a bigger part of the Bills' option run game. Now, they've gotten away from that a little bit to preserve his health, smartly, but Daboll still runs Allen to keep defenses honest and on their toes. Just when you think you've slowed them down, there's always the threat that Allen can keep the ball and take off for a big play. That's exactly how we should be using Deshaun as well. There really isn't a hole in Daboll's ability to game plan and call plays. He's shown he has the full repertoire, and any team should be happy to have him run their offense. In addition, Daboll also has the connections to put together a well-rounded staff around him, because no one coach can do it all alone. On the offensive side of the ball, look for Ken Dorsey, the Bills quarterback coach, to be someone to potentially become an offensive coordinator if he doesn't replace Daboll when he leaves his post. Dorsey has gotten a lot of credit for also helping Josh Allen with his developments, and man, it'd be scary to think of all these great minds to help Deshaun Watson become the absolute best version of himself. On the defensive side of the ball now, I think the best option for Daboll is the Bills defensive line coach, Eric Washington. He's a Sean McDermott disciple, came with him to Carolina to be the defensive line coach when McDermott was the defensive coordinator. He's learned what makes that Bills defense so tough to play against, and can incorporate a similar system and culture. He also wouldn't be a rookie defensive coordinator himself, which we've seen can be pretty hit or miss with Anthony Weaver. Washington was the DC in Carolina after McDermott left for Buffalo, and in 2018 and 2019, they didn't have great years statistically, but they just kept on losing talent, and Washington didn't have the most to work with. Now, he wouldn't have that here either, but you think about the Panthers and the Bills defenses, and they always play hard, they always play fast, and they always play disciplined. They tackle well and are fundamentally sound. Those core principles are things we're currently lacking big time, and can definitely improve a defense whether they have elite talent or not. But just like any other coaching candidate, Brian Daboll is not without his flaws, and there's a pretty damn big elephant in the room. Joke motherfucking Easterby. Anyone with their head screwed on tight knows that Joke is a complete cancer to this organization, and he needs to go ASAP. Unfortunately, it was actually Brian Daboll who reportedly brought Joke to the Patriots and got him involved in the NFL in the first place. And it's been reported that Joke is pushing for Daboll and Bills assistant GM Joe Schoen to become the new Texans head coach and GM. Why, you ask? Because those three all share the same agent, and Joke hopes that it's his only shot at remaining in power with the Texans. I don't want this snake anywhere near our team. And if that means we have to miss out on Daboll, fuck, it might have to be worth it, man. But if we don't hire Joe Schoen, because remember, Cal McNair said that the GM will decide Joke's role. If we hire Ed Dodds, Mike Borgonzi, Louis Riddick, someone else other than Schoen, and they bring Daboll, then maybe Joke won't still be here, because I don't see any other smart GM wanting to have Joke with them, right? So it's really more up to the GM than it is for Daboll to make that call. But it is definitely a huge red flag. But there is reason for optimism that we could have Daboll and still kick Joke out of this universe. The last issue I have with Daboll is that, we haven't heard maybe the same rave reviews about his leadership ability that we have with an Eric Bieniemy, Robert Saleh, or Matt Eberflus. We heard Diggs talk about how he doesn't want to lose him, right? And that he's a similar type of guy to Sean McDermott. However, Daboll is more of a soft-spoken guy. He's been coached by Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, who both had more of, let's say unconventional leadership styles. And that brings another question mark. Do we want to get involved with another Patriots guy? And that's a fair question. However, going back to the interview podcast I talked about earlier, and Fairburn had this to say about Daboll. Now, it's just one man's opinion, but it is someone who, is in every press conference and has talked to Daboll in person and would have a good idea of who he is as a person. Now, I want to believe he's not one of the next Patriot head coach flameouts, man. I really, really, really do. And the fact that, he was never really touted as the next great thing, I think that makes some sense. Like we saw with Josh McDaniels and Bill O'Brien, Belichick was talking those two guys up. I wouldn't put it past him for him to be trying to get other teams to hire them, knowing they ain't it. That's some big brain Belichick voodoo. But anyways, overall, Daboll is a super intriguing candidate. His scheme is amazing, and we know it's 100% him. Hell, if he didn't have the joke connection, he might be my number one guy. He's that good. And I have no doubt he could maximize Deshaun Watson. And that is what's going to help us win a Super Bowl. Alright, that's going to do it for me for the video. If you enjoyed, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. Question of the day. Yeah, we getting back to that. If you're an OG, you remember question of the day. It's going to be, who are your top 3 head coach candidates? Let me know in the comments below. Huge shout out to all the Texans Thoughts team members. If you want to join the team, hit the join button below for a $3.99 a month subscription. All the perks will be listed there. You won't regret it. All right, take care, everyone. Come back for more. And remember, the film don't lie.